Another wild finish in Philly. The Warriors went into Philly without Steph and Jimmy, and then Draymond got his foot stomped on again, so he ended up leaving the game in a walking boot. So some more trouble there, although the reporting is that Draymond is expected to continue to try to play through that injury. The Warriors couldn't score to save their lives. Brandin Podziemski and Jonathan Kuminga both had really rough games. I want to talk to them a little bit more in a minute because the negativity surrounding them is really starting to reach a fever pitch right now. Tyrese Maxey's lighting them on fire on the other end, and the Warriors end up going down by 22 in the first quarter. They end up stiff-arming them around there most of the rest of the game. But then the Warriors mount an epic 18-point fourth quarter comeback led by one of those classic little three-guard lineups that, Golden State fans complain about all the time. We had Buddy Hield, DeAnthony Melton, and Pat Spencer. Will Richard got in there a little bit too. So three of those four guards at any given time. Guy Santos playing the four. And then a mix of Al Horford and Quentin Post was the group that ended up leading the comeback. Buddy Hield's like constantly just running by Tyrese Maxey and getting every single offensive rebound. Tyrese Maxey's got to be more attentive on the defensive glass. That's something that's been standing out to me in film. He's got to figure that out. It's just a little detail that's undercutting some of his success on the other end. DeAnthony Melton was flying around on defense, breaking plays up, hitting jump shots. Pat Spencer continues to provide that little bit of audacious scoring in these situations, hitting pull-up threes, drawing fouls in the mid-range. Guy Santos hit a couple of spot-up threes. He had a spin move on the baseline that got the Warriors bench all stoked, where he kind of got caught the ball in the short corner and the possession kind of died. No one was open. And he just ripped to the right and pounded into his spin move, toasted his man off the dribble, got into a little reverse layup. A nice move from Guy Santos. Horford had a big block and drop coverage. He also had an assist out of a post-up double team. And Quentin Post hit a couple of threes, all while the team was playing great defense on the other end. They mixed in some 1-3-1 zone during that defensive run, as well as some man-to-man. The Sixers were kind of playing into it a little bit by letting their foot off the gas and just passing the ball around the perimeter and taking some bad pull-up jump shots. But the Warriors just battled, and all of a sudden, Pat Spencer hits a three off the left wing, and they're up by 4. And it's like, oh, man, the Warriors are about to have a massive win here. But the Sixers finally woke up, and they made 4 big plays late in the game that ended up stealing the victory back in their direction. Quinn Grimes had a big driving and one out of the left corner where he just kind of went through Pat Spencer's chest and got an and one. Tyrese Maxey, after settling a few times for some bad jump shots, finally got downhill, pounded into a spin move over his right shoulder and put it up off the glass with his left hand. A really, really nice basket attack from Tyrese Maxey. And then the final sequence. So the Sixers had the ball down by 1, and VJ Edgecombe identifies Tyrese Maxey's taken a tough step back jump shot, 18, 19 feet off of the left elbow, or off of the right elbow extended, and he airballs it. But VJ just kind of identifies that the airball is coming and just cuts into the open gap, times it perfectly, jumps, grabs the airball, and feeds it back into the basket to put the Sixers up by 1. DeAnthony Melton leaks out, and Buddy Hield grabs the inbound and just rifles it down the floor to DeAnthony Melton, wide open for what would have been a layup to win the game. And Tyrese Maxey, who was literally wrapped up in the Sixers bench, because on his fall away jump shot, he was falling over into the bench. He somehow entangles himself from the mess and sprints back and blocks DeAnthony Melton at the buzzer to save the game. Easily the best defensive play of his young career, and just an insane display of his speed in the open floor. And just a lot of fun in that particular game. Couple really fun finishes between the two games that we covered this morning. And I love that about the NBA. We complain a lot about the NBA regular season, about how it's too long and how it can lack urgency sometimes. But, that was what looked like a pretty mediocre slate, and it gave us some really cool moments. And that's ultimately what makes the NBA regular season still fun, is that it just provides so many moments over the course of those 6 months. Yeah, there's a lot of bad games and blowouts in there as well. But generally speaking, each week you just get a dozen or so classic games with great finishes, with crazy highlights. And that's why we keep coming back to this shit like a drug every single year when mid-October comes around. Before we get to the mailbag, I was thinking a little bit last night about how things have gone so wrong for the Warriors this year. And to be clear, it's not over for them. They're 3.5 games back of the 6th seed to get out of the play-in. That's an achievable gap. And when they have their top 3 guys healthy and available on the floor, they've been really good this year. But I was thinking about it because, like, the reason why they're below 500 instead of staying afloat has essentially come down to the lack of development of their young talent. If you look at the end of their roster, a lot of those guys have been great. Like, you keep finding the Will Richard types and the Pat Spencer types and the Guy Santos types and the guys that can be their eighth, ninth, 10th man on any given night when Steve Kerr needs to find some quality rotation minutes in the back end of his roster. They keep succeeding there. Their stars are just true pros, right? They do their jobs every night. When they've been on the floor, they've been winning their minutes. The stars do their jobs. They haven't been perfect. There's been bad games mixed in there, but for the most part, those guys have been really, really good. It's that middle tier of the roster where they've needed some of these, not like the undrafted second round pick types to pop, but where they've needed like these first round pick, high pedigree dudes to pop, and they just haven't. And they've needed pods to be on a little bit more of that Austin Reeves type of trajectory of becoming like a legitimate offensive weapon at the guard spot. And he just hasn't become that. They've needed Jonathan Kuminga to become something closer to what Pascal Siakam or OG Anunoby have become. And he just hasn't. And because of that, it just puts so much more emphasis and pressure on the older veterans to be awesome every night. And it forces Steve Kerr to lean on his 8th, 9th, 10th man more often. And those guys, they can do their jobs, but ultimately it's a key possession late in the game, and DeAnthony Melton's isoing off the top and smoking a left-handed layup off the glass. It'd be great if one of those first-round picks that you had, a lottery pick, could have developed into a guy when Steph's out with a thigh contusion that could come in and get a bucket when the team needs a bucket. And that lack of development in that middle portion of their roster where some of their higher pedigree young talent has been, that lack of development, I think ultimately has been the thing that's led to this frustrating start as the Warriors end up slipping below 500.